In the right hands, the relationship between man and suit is symbiotic. The suit has power. The man harnesses that power. You need to be skillful, agile, and above all, you need to be fast. You should be able to shrink and grow on a dime, so your size always suits your needs. Now dive through the keyhole, Scott. You charge big, you dive small, then you emerge big.
Michael Douglas, honoured to talk to you.
Thank you.
You know, you're joining, a list of distinguished actors like Robert Redford and Samuel L. Jackson and John Slattery and so on. What attracted you to this? I mean, why sign on?
I just for the same reason that you mentioned some of those actors, I've never done one of these movies before. Never done them. They seem very successful.
Yeah.
The Marvel family in particular done very well. I've seen a couple of them with my son. But just in the spirit of trying something different, that was it.
I mean, did you talk to Robert Redford before you signed on? I mean,
No.
I
mean, I talked to Danny DeVito and Jack Nicholson, two friends of mine. They were in different themes, but he did the Joker and Danny was the Penguin in another non-Marvel pictures. And they just asked them about it and makeup or this and that, and how much fun it was. But no, I'm not a comic guy.
Yeah.
I didn't know. When they sent me the script, they sent me about 2 years of the Ant-Man comics, and I was surprised reading all about Hank Pym. That even though it's supposed to be comic book, there was more character development than most of the movies I've ever done. Very successful scientist, big business, warrior. Lost his wife, so there was more than I had anticipated in terms of a backstory.
And working as well with Paul Rudd. I mean, he has quite. He's a comedy actor, and I mean, I know you've done comedy in the past, like *Romancing the Stone* and *The War of the Roses*. I mean, was it nice to get back into comedy, and was there any kind of interplay between?
Yeah, no. Well, when they told me Paul, I was a little okay. I mean, I know he's funny, but he's to be a superhero. But then, I knew Bob Downey, well too, and that was interject. Marvel's casting. They have one lady who does all the casting for every single picture. And they're good, they have a really kind of a fresh eye, pick really different people. So Paul, I knew him from Anchorman and 2 and some of his other parts, but was a brilliant choice once we got into it because he's got that self-effacing way and a natural humor. Yeah. Had got himself in incredible shape. I mean, he really made a commitment for this. For this picture, and he set a great tone, very comfortable, relaxed tone between him and our director Peyton Reed. So I loved it. I had a great time. We filmed down in Georgia, outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and it was very good.
Like you said, I mean, this is the first time you've done one of these comic book movies before. I mean, are there any other types of films that you would like to do that you maybe haven't looked at before?
Period movie. My entire career is contemporary, except for one picture. It's only contemporary. So if I found a good period movie, and mind you, I guess what makes me a little different as an actor is I really do look at what the movies are rather than my part. I'd rather be in a good movie than have a good part in a bad movie.
Yeah, this is it, because you were a producer for years and you were so successful as well. I mean, did you consider, coming onto this as a producer, or was there anything?
No, I didn't. I mean, it wasn't offered, and Marvel's got a pretty strong. This guy Kevin Feige, who's, was really fascinating to get to kind of know him a little bit and to see how they all work the project, how they put the pieces together. I'm still producing a fair amount. I'm trying to get my company into the television area, especially cable television. It's a more interesting place for the making the kind of movies that I used to make that are hard to get in feature films now.
Actually, just on that point, just final question. Fatal Attraction, I hear there's a TV series. Can you tell us anything about it?
I don't know anything about it. You know, they have never said anything to me about it.
Really?
You should check in with me. At least I should be, you know, some kind of supervising producer.
I thought that, yeah. When I heard about it, it was like, that was a great movie.
Yeah.
Like, I really can't wait to see what Michael Douglas
No,
is
I mean,
doing.
that's the studio owns house rights.
Okay. Michael Douglas, we'll leave it there.
Pleasure, thank you.
Thank you.
The world sure seems different from down here, doesn't it, Scott?
What? Who said that? Louise, not here!
It's a trial by fire, Scott. Or in this case, water. Guess you're tougher than you thought.
And man, this is your first time, I think, doing a comic book movie.
Yeah, it is.
How was it different from any other movie you've done before, do you think?
Well, first of all, the secrecy that surrounds, a Marvel movie is just different, because usually, like, a lot of people read it, and it doesn't matter if you read it or not, like, until, like, if you read Fast and Furious, like, I don't think there's a lot of surprises of what's going to happen, but it's just cool the way that it happens. And when it comes to Marvel, the first time I read it, there was, like, an armed guard right outside my room waiting for me. I wasn't armed, but he was.
Yeah, he was there.
There was somebody there. And then I was doing a movie at the time in Bovingdon.
Yeah.
And or was it Sherburne? I don't know, one of the two. And I only had time to read half of it. Then the next night I read the other half.
Yeah.
Because I was studying for the other movie.
Sure.
And that was the first time that's ever happened. So that was my introduction to Marvel.
I mean, it must have been crazy on set as well. Like, I mean, the actual secrecy and the fact that, fans are probably trying to get a look in or something like that. I mean, had you been on?
Yeah, but it's, it's almost like this, like, awesome curiosity, which I totally get, because you want to know, the, what the story is. But at the same time, you don't really want to know the spoiler.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to spoil it for people.
Yeah.
And then when you read, the Marvel script, it's almost, it goes... I've read a lot of scripts. It goes into different directions that you don't quite expect.
Yeah.
So you're like, whoa, and then it pays off later, and that's the. I think that's the beauty of, like, the Marvel world.
Yeah.
The element of surprise.
The element of surprise as well, and you've got Michael Douglas there as well. I mean, I know you didn't have many scenes with him in the film, but did you get to talk to him when he was on set?
Yeah, we all had dinner last night.
Really? Yeah.
And it was like a quite an amazing dinner. It was like a star-studded dinner, and with all these people, in from the UK, and like it was pretty insane. Like, he's got a lot of friends,
doesn't he?
That guy, yeah, he's got a lot of friends.
Weird, yeah. Like, he was like telling me, like, he was all like, oh yeah, I'm Bob Downey. It was like Robert Downey, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, Bob Down.
Just Bob Downey and Bob De Niro. Yeah. All those people.
Imagine his cell phone when he's got Bob and he's like, Bob De Niro, Bob Downey. Damn it.
You think he rings like Bob Downey thinking
Bob
it's
D, Bob B?
And doesn't he put on an impression as well? Like, he could, like, Robert Downey Jr. could do, like, a Robert Downey.
I'm pretty sure he knows that there's caller ID.
Yeah, but if it just has it as Bob, though, he wouldn't. You know the way sometimes you do it.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
he'd have to look back at his text messages.
And then go do it that way?
Yeah.
Can you do a Robert Downey Jr. impression?
No, I can't.
Can you do any impression of anyone on set?
Well, I mean, the guy that I did an entire movie, and I imitated this guy Pablo from my from my old neighborhood, and that's Luis. Yeah, because I'm like, he has a different accent. He's got, like, he's kind of a fast talking, like, higher pitched voice.
Yeah.
It's like, he's like, what does he go? He's like, I know what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying.
So, like, you just based it on, like, a real guy.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to pay him royalties, or, like, give him, like, one of your checks out?
No, I don't think so. I think if you imitate somebody, like, it's fair game.
Yeah, it's fair game. Like, you're fine to do it that way. Okay, what are you working on next?
I'm doing Chips.
And I heard you, like, compared it to Lethal Weapon. That's amazing.
Yeah, because it's because there's other movies that have already have, like, buddy cop movies.
Yeah.
buddy comedies or whatever. So this one's a bit more real and more about the plot, so that you can, because sometimes I think when you're joking too much, you lose the plot.
Yeah.
And this one is, is like an action movie with humor in it.
Yeah, and plus as well, like, you've got the Marvel connection. I mean, Shane Black, who did Iron Man 3, and he wrote Lethal Weapon.
Oh yeah.
Is he? I mean, have you talked to Shane Black at all?
No, Dax Shepard wrote the script, and it's a pretty good script.
Right.
So we kind of want to keep that going, and plus it's at a cost. It's still at Warner Brothers, but it's not like an $800 million movie or whatever.
No.
When your small energy's compressed, so you have the force of a 200-pound man behind a fist 1/100 of an inch wide, you're like a bullet. You punch too hard, you kill someone too soft, it's a love tap. In other words, you have to know how to punch.
I was in prison for 3 years. I know how to punch.
Show me. Terrible.
You want to show me how to punch? Show me.
That's how you punch.
So, Peyton Reed, thanks for talking to us. Obviously, look, I have to bring it up straight away because it's kind of the pink elephant in the room.
Where did I get this shirt?
Where did you get that shirt? It's
Well,
amazing.
I'll tell you, it's a very long story.
Yeah?
I've had this shirt for many years, and it all led to today.
Really?
For this interview, yeah.
Totally lit up today. It's an amazing shirt.
Thank you.
Okay, Edgar Wright. Obviously, he was in development for this for quite a while, and then you were brought in.
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak to that a little bit? I mean, how was it was there any kind of consternation going into it, knowing that there was that history with it?
No, all of that preceded me.
Right. Okay.
And Edgar, for whatever reason, you'd have to ask him, left the movie.
Yeah.
And it was without a director. So when I came in, there were existing drafts of the script that Edgar and Joe had written.
Mm-hmm.
And so my job was just to make the best Ant-Man movie possible.
Yeah.
I mean, there are 50 years of source material for
Yeah.
Ant-Man. So it was really going back to the comics, and and then I had the great fortune of Adam McKay coming in and writing with Paul Rudd. So, we basically, I've been a fan of Ant-Man since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so as a fan, that's how I approached it. Like, here's some stuff in the comics that never made its way into the script, and so we just made it better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the cast as well, fantastic. And, again, kind of like in The Winter Soldier when you had Robert Redford, here you've got Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
How was it working with him? Because, I mean, he's been around for, I don't mean this in a bad way, but he's been around for a while and he's worked with some directors. So, I mean, how did you find working with him on set?
Well, I loved it. I mean, there's no bigger movie star than Michael Douglas, and he's an incredible actor, an Oscar-winning actor, and an Oscar-winning producer. So for me, it was a thrill, and particularly to play Hank Pym, who's one of the more complicated characters in the comics realm of Marvel. So he was the perfect guy in my mind to play Hank Pym, and that's something that I think we also wanted to beef up, and as we continue to refine the script, was to really take advantage of that, and I wanted to move that character more in a way where we saw that he was really driven in some ways by guilt and by this tragedy in his life, and to sort of bring some more emotionality to it.
Yeah. The I mean, you've done quite a few comedies in the past as well, so obviously you're kind of within a wheelhouse here, but this is your first time I think you've done a comic book movie.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you count Back to the Future, which, by the way,
Sure.
I remember that series and I absolutely loved it, the animated
that's great.
series.
Yeah.
I was like, I was reading through IMDb, I was like, oh my God, the animated series.
Yeah.
So cool. But anyways, working in that world, I mean, obviously this is a comic book movie, but it's also a genre movie as well, because it's a heist movie.
Absolutely.
I mean, were there any films you watched for inspiration beforehand, just to kind of give you a little bit of,
I did. I watched a number of things. I went back, first of all, and watched a bunch of shrinking movies. From
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Incredible Shrinking Man, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Inner Space, Fantastic Voyage, the gamut. Because I felt like this had to be the definitive shrinking movie for a generation. We have the technology now to do it in ways that they just simply couldn't have done it before. And then, of course, heist movies.
Yeah.
I went back and, I've seen so many heist movies in my life. And I just wanted to go back and look at stuff like both versions of Ocean's 11 and, the original Thomas Crown Affair and a bunch of sort of lesser known ones from the 60s and 70s. Because it was important, there's a kinetic quality and a rhythm that heist movies have. And that's something that also McKay and I talked about, increasing the heist movie tropes. We added so much stuff. The tips that Michael Pena do, that was never in the original drafts, and we brought that to the movie. And just the idea, too, of a sort of trial by fire. You have everything in line for the heist. But there's this one piece of technology we need. And Scott, you're not quite trained yet, but we're going to send you in. And then, of course, Scott has an encounter with someone else from the Marvel Universe. And that was stuff that we all sort of wanted to do to enhance the heist tropes of the
Yeah, I mean, I noticed as well, like, you even used the score from Coffee, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like the Roy Ayers track as well.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, like
it's funny. I had tipped that in, and Chris Beck, who's our composer, who created an amazing score.
He did, yeah.
And we talked about, like, Chris, do this. Then there got to a point where, no, the Coffee thing works great because it's really scoring Louise's version of himself.
That's it. Yeah, he's like this Elmore Leonard character.
Absolutely,
like, yeah.
a guy who was raised on blaxploitation movies and then probably Tarantino movies, and it just made sense.
It did, didn't
for
it?
that character, and it had to be that recording because it's so of an era.
It is, isn't it? It's like that real, like, I just love it. Like, I mean, it was really that kind of, like, just really slick and really, like, you know.
It worked also because we do it twice in the movie with Pena, and it starts with that little bongo riff.
Yeah, yeah.
So the second time it comes up and the audience hears the bongos, it's like, okay, I know what's coming. That was crucial.
I mean, like, and Michael Pena as well. Like, I mean, he stole every scene he was in. I mean,
Yeah.
was there room for improvisation, or was it a case of just, it was in the script?
We made room for it, and also, Luis, the character, was always in those drafts, but he was a pretty minor character.
Yeah.
We really expanded that role because, again, we had Michael Pena. My thought was like, we've got Michael Pena. We can't waste Michael Pena. We got to write a role for him. And the chemistry between Paul and Michael was so good, we just wanted to expand it.
Yeah.
So that was something that, those tip montages came about actually during production with, after McKay had gone off and directed his movie, we had writers Andrew Barrer and Gabe Ferrari, who worked with Paul throughout production, and myself, and really, I said, there's got to be that moment where Paul decides, I'm in, but I need to know this tip is solid. And what if we did this thing where Pena is just sort of rambling in terms of the tip, and they went to town and wrote this stuff, and Pena was really involved, and it was a very collaborative thing in terms of, enlisting the actors in terms of, deepening their characters.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Peyton Reed, we got to leave it there.
A pleasure, man.
Cheers.
40 years ago, I created a suit, but it was dangerous, so I hid it from the world. My assistant, Darren Cross, they became obsessed with recreating my formula. If this technology gets out, it's going to be chaos. Scott, this is your chance to become the hero. I need you to be the Ant-Man.
I think our first move should be calling the Avengers.
The suit has power.
This is not some cute technology like the Iron Man suit. We're doomed.
When you're small, you have superhuman strength. You're like a bullet. So you need to know how to punch.
You want to show me how to punch? Show me how to punch.
That's how you punch.
Yeah, I got this. Did you think you could stop the future? You're just a thief.
So, I'm Ant-Man. I know. It wasn't my idea. There's no reason to be scared.
Oh, no, Daddy don't get scared.
Good.
How'd you do that, bro?
Don't freak out. Look at your shoulder.